to the bread kitchen. This week I'm going to make a traditional New England bread. It features wheat flours, cornmeal and molasses. It's called Anadama bread. So to make this bread I've got 225 grams of white bread flour, 135 grams of wholemeal flour, 300 grams of water, 25 grams of cornmeal, 4 tablespoons of molasses. This is blackstrap molasses. Now, depending on where you live, you can substitute treacle for dark molasses. Of course, you don't have to use dark molasses at all. You could use a lighter molasses, but you won't have quite the depth of flavour as you get with the dark stuff. 25 grams of butter, 1 teaspoon of dried yeast and a teaspoon of salt. Put the water, the butter and molasses in a pan, then heat with stirring. Once the butter has melted, add in the cornmeal and the salt and bring to the boil with stirring. Once it comes to the boil, turn off the heat and allow to cool. When the mixture's just above room temperature, you can add in the yeast, mix well and leave for about 10 minutes for the yeast to get going. Put the white and the wholemeal flour in a large bowl and mix. Now make a well in the centre and pour in the goop. Now get your hands in and mix. And what you'll end up with is this quite soft, a bit sticky dough. I'll just flour this surface. Turn the dough out, and then I'm going to knead this for about 10 minutes. You see how soft it is? It's lovely. Now, if as you're kneading you find any little lumps of congealed cornmeal, just squish them between your fingers. You'll be able to feel them in the dough. Squish them between your fingers and then carry on kneading. Oh, here's another one, look. Little one, squish and carry on. Now this really is a sticky dough and it's not surprising with all the molasses in it. So it's okay to sprinkle a bit more flour on just to make it workable, and use your scraper to scoop it up as well. This is one of those doughs for which the slap, roll, quarter turn, slap, roll, quarter turn method of kneading really benefits the dough. Now, as I've been kneading this, I've probably added about another 3 or 4 tablespoons of flour into it, but no more. It's going to be difficult to get rid of the stickiness because of the molasses in it. But I've been going for 10 minutes. This isn't too bad. It's still quite sticky, but it's certainly stretchy. So now I'll pop the dough into a lightly greased bowl, then cover and leave in a warm place until the dough has about doubled in size. It's taken a couple of hours, but it's risen really well, and look at the colour, it's gorgeous, it's like caramel. I'll just turn it out onto my surface here, knock it back and then knead for a couple of minutes. It's not quite so sticky at the moment, but that'll change. So here's my dough. It is just still a little bit tacky, sticks to your fingers. Not a problem, I'm just pulling it into an oblong shape and then I'll pop it in this loaf tin. This is a 1.5 litre loaf tin which I've greased. Just push it in and I'll pop it in a nice big plastic bag. Then I'll leave it to rise and fill the loaf tin. This has risen very well, so I'm going to take a sharp knife and just put a few slashes to the top of the loaf. Now I'll bake this at 200 normal oven, 180 fan oven for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, turn the oven down to 165 fan oven, 180 normal oven and bake for a further 30 minutes. Once cooked, the top will be really dark. Now leave to cool. It slices really well and that wonderful colour comes from the molasses. This is a soft and very flavourful bread. I find it goes particularly well with things like marmalades and jams, but you could toast it and just spread butter on it if you wished. I hope you enjoy making your Anadama bread, and do join me next time in the bread kitchen.